Hi, we're with the International Dyslexia Association Oregon branch. We're going to be going live here. We got a special treat for everyone tonight. We're going to turn the tables a little bit, and we're going to have one of the student panel members who is joining us shortly interview me.
So our guest host should be coming on here soon.
Sorry, I've gum in my mouth.
Oh, all good.
I'm not professional.
Good gum.
Yeah, it was good. It's probably not for Instagram Live. Oh.
How's everything going?
Good. It's been
Did you
kind
have a
of a
nice
busy.
holiday?
I did, yeah. It's been a kind of a busy day, but yeah, I did. So
Are you are you on break from school still?
yeah,
Or
I go back like next Monday, I think.
okay.
So
Still probably a lot of stuff going on for you, I'm sure, this time of year.
yeah, college applications and whatnot. So I just submitted my first one. So
Oh, congrats. That's
thanks.
awesome. So cool.
Yeah, it was nerve-wracking, but
Oh, I'm excited for you.
thanks. I'm excited too. It's kind of crazy. Like I smell like it was just a weird feeling. The first one is always the weirdest feeling.
Yeah, but you got one in.
So just like 1 minute to go.
Well, if you're just joining us, we are with one of our student panel members here, Emma, who's going to be doing the actual interviewing tonight, but she just turned in her first college application. So let's show her some love because that is a big step.
Yeah, it was a beast.
Uh, Danielle Thompson, congrats.
Thanks.
Well, I'll let you kick things off then, if you want to
Yeah,
get us started.
cool. Thanks for joining me today. It's a pretty cool thing to interview one of my biggest like heroes. This idea actually came to me in a dream. I watched one of your Instagram lives and I went to bed that night and then I had a dream that I interviewed you. And so the next
Uh,
one I texted Shelby, I'm like, hey, what if me interviews Jared for one of these Instagram lives? Because we always get to hear from him. What if I interview him? She's like, sure, that sounds good. We'll probably do it in a couple months. And then just like last week, it got all kind of confirmed. So I just want to say thanks for taking
uh,
time over the weekend on a Monday, especially after the holidays. Pretty cool. So
well,
yeah,
thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate all the work that you and the student panel members do for the branch and then for all the students around the globe. I mean, you
it's
guys are amazing. So,
crazy.
yeah.
Cool. Okay, do you just want to jump in? Do you want to maybe tell what a bit about yourself if you're someone's new? Since
Sure. I mean, I can introduce myself. So, my name's Jared Blank. I am on the board of the International Dyslexia Association Oregon branch. I'm our vice president. Um, and a lot of our board members are on the call tonight, so that's really cool. Been on the board for a couple years now, and just a real big advocate of students with dyslexia and learning challenges, and seeing how we best can support them with the resources that we have.
cool, love that, super awesome. Okay, I have like a list of questions on this side of my screen, so if I'm looking this way,
Yeah. Okay.
questions.
Yeah. It's your show.
um, so I think the first one I kind of get out of the way is I'm going to, for those that don't know, I'm going to college in like 9 months, which is insane. So what college like accommodations were the most helpful for you
Yeah.
during college for seniors?
It's a great question. And if you missed it, Emma just turned in her first college application today, so I think that's really cool. Um, for me, it was always having extra time. And so being able to take tests in a private room and just having extra time to read the questions, that was a really big thing for me. As well as I had a note taker. So I had the ability to go to class and listen and maybe jot down a few things, but then get the notes from the professor. And I think that was a real big help for me in in the college atmosphere. But I think the cool thing about colleges is they have become more progressive, even from when I was going to school. And I think there's so much more knowledge now of what students with learning challenges are dealing with. So to get those accommodations, I think it's really important. And I feel like it's becoming more accessible. Maybe still some hoops to jump through, but it's more accessible than when even I was back in school.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah, I learned about the note-taker accommodation, and as soon as I heard, I'm like, I'm definitely using that when I go to college, because notes taking is definitely difficult. Is a weakness of mine, so that's definitely huge. Okay. I know that dyslexia is it's a hard thing all in general. Like every day is a struggle. But to you, what's like the struggle of being an adult that's with dyslexia? Because I'm not an adult yet.
Yeah, such a great question. And Jesse, who's on the line tonight too, we talk about this all the time, just the different things that adults may have to deal with in having dyslexia. I think the one that jumps off the page for me right away is just like menus and stuff like that. Like the stuff you don't think about. Like I might, if I'm going to a restaurant, I might look up the menu the night before and just kind of like glance at it so I have an idea of what's on it. But things like that can still become a challenge even as an adult. So dyslexia doesn't ever really fully go away, but I've learned some coping mechanisms with it, if that makes sense.
And that's totally true. I think the hardest thing, I'm going to kind of jump into my opinion. I think the hardest thing with being dyslexia is you want it to end, but there is no ending to this. And that's hard, especially when you first get diagnosed. You think, if you go to the doctor, you're sick, they can prescribe you, medications or whatever to help you feel better. With dyslexia, there's no medication to make it better, go away. And that's hard. So that's hard. And I would definitely menus.
Yeah, the thing that I would say to that too, though, is like there's this thing and I think of it more probably in lines of running. When you're in these long distance races or in these big endurance challenges, if you can make things less worse, sometimes that's the win, right? Like, so if the pain level is at an 8 and then you eat a PB&J sandwich and you get some Gatorade and you're feeling a little bit better, maybe the pain level is at a 6. That drop can really keep you going further. And so I think sometimes when you start thinking about it, it's like, okay, well, can we make it less worse and let that start to be the winning points right there.
That's a good point. Yeah, I like that. That's a good one. Let's see here. What would one piece of advice would you tell yourself when you're younger or other students that are maybe listening about dyslexia? Like, what's one piece of advice or something you would tell yourself?
I think the one piece of advice I would tell myself when I was younger, looking at it now, is you're not as far behind as you think. Mm-hmm. That you're more capable than you realize, and you're not as far away from being in the race as you think. Mm-hmm. I think that's one thing I would kind of focus on, because I think when you're in school and it's hard to read the directions on the page, or it's hard to get the words from your brain to the paper, or just the day-to-day reading, and you think you're just like not capable, I think that would be a miss. And so I would challenge that thought.
Yeah, it's a good one. Cool, I like that a lot. Because I think it's hard when you're in the moment to be like, I'm so bad at this, I can't do this. All just the negative thoughts, they just come to you all at once, and it's hard.
It's really hard. And I think it's really important that students know that this thing doesn't affect their IQ or their ability to produce in the end. And so it's a long game. It's a really, really long game. And the unfortunate part about it is in school, you're not always given the tools to be sitting at the table and being able to be a participant. And that is a challenge, and that's a miss. But from the internal thought, if students can remind themselves that they're not as far behind as they think.
Yeah, cool. Let's see. So what's kind of jump was see what would be your biggest strength. Like, what are you good? Like, when do you just
Uh,
feel like you've made it?
well, I don't know that I've ever felt like I've just made it. I think experiencing dyslexia and the challenges with it, I would say grit is probably one of my strengths, just the ability to kind of endure um, in maybe difficult moments. I think that is probably one thing that came about from being dyslexic.
Yeah, I think it's like another thing that comes with it. I agree, it comes with it. You have to, it's it's very, very difficult a lot of time, and you just have to find that way to get in there and do it. The way
Totally. You just got to keep going.
you just gotta keep plugging along, even if the days feel like they're not gonna end.
Exactly.
Because it's hard. Why Shelby Pope kind of was helping with these questions, so some of these are kind of code questions.
Sure.
Why do you think it's important for students to identify their strengths as a dyslexic?
Yeah, I think it's really important that students identify their strengths, especially as someone with dyslexia or a learning challenge, because it goes back to your point earlier that self-doubt and that negative voice that's in our heads, right? That keeps coming up when we're doing the things that are most difficult or most challenging, especially when we get into subjects like reading and writing, where you know you're doing that all the time. So when you can find those outlets where you can plug into the things that come natural, or at least that a student's passionate about, they can in turn build the self-confidence to know that they are capable people. And then from there, you go and attack the things that are most difficult. Because now you're filled with that ability to like cook or play music or sports or whatever it might be. And then you go and you can kind of take on the world that way.
Yeah, that's cool. I like it. What's the best thing that's happened to you since you were 5 and you were diagnosed?
I think it's just the community that you meet, like one, I think being diagnosed with dyslexia is a real privilege. It's and that sounds weird to say a little bit, but there's so many students that don't get the opportunity to even get diagnosed, so they don't know, and they go through life and they don't know, and they don't have the resources or tutoring or even though it was hard, even though there was things that I did that was like school on top of school, that's such a privilege. And I got to work with amazing teachers. I've gotten to meet the people at the International Dyslexia Association Oregon branch. I've connected with just some amazing humans, and I think that is that's something really special about it.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. I didn't even know anybody was dyslexic, and then I joined the panel. Now I have 14 of these people that understand me, and it's pretty crazy. They say 1 in 5, but when you're in the mix of it, you don't feel like there's 1 in 5 people, maybe at school that are dyslexic, and then you're like, oh my God, there's so many people that understand me, and it's pretty cool. I had an essay for one of my school projects, and I was like, everyone on the panel understands me, and that just, when someone understands you, it feels good to feel understood and feel like you just right there with people. It's pretty cool.
I think that's really cool that you are able to express that and the connection that the panel has. Because for me, going to school, I didn't know anyone else that was really dyslexic.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of feel alone in the classroom. And I think having other people that get it and that are experiencing the same challenges, it's huge.
It's kind of life changing. Like, oh my gosh, you're not alone. It's pretty cool. What was one or male? It depends how many you can say when the one thing you would like teachers or parents or anything or anybody to know about dyslexics that are not dyslexic themselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I think it's a really good question. And when I think about it from the parents or educators standpoint, how difficult this thing can be. It's not like, you can't just give a dyslexic student a book and say, go read or work with this, because it doesn't work. And I was thinking about this because I kind of knew you'd be headed this way. For dyslexics, if you teach them the fundamentals, like the base fundamentals, and we talk about this with science-based reading programs, right? Here's how science-based reading programs are so crucial. It's like a dyslexic student is like someone who has a strong core and who has the ability to go and let's say run, but doesn't know how to drive their knee, because they don't know that if they tilt their hips in an upward direction and they bring in their core, then their leg will pop up. And if you teach a dyslexic student with a systematic approach to reading, that's how they'll get it. Mm-hmm. And so when we're trying to engage this population, we got to go at it in a different way. We can't just roll the books out and say, go read or work harder, because that doesn't work. Because they're working hard. They're actually, a dyslexic student will like literally try to look through the pages of a book to get the material. That's how hard they want to like learn. This hunger for learning is right there. But we need to back up, hit pause, get the right fundamentals taught, and then bring the material in. And we're not doing that enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that really comes with that. It's like technology that we use or anything is not for everyone. Everyone has different things that work best for them, and no dyslexic is the same. You know, people think, oh, you guys are all dyslexic, you're all the same. But we're all so different in so many different ways. It's pretty cool if you get us all together. We'll all like have a different story. For those that don't know, I was 14 when I was diagnosed. So, you know, it's kind of cool on this panel. It was like, oh, I was second, third grade, you know, 5 or 6 people. And then they get to me and I was in 9th grade. And it's kind of cool when we get us together because we're all so different, but we all have this thing in common. And that's pretty cool.
It is really cool, the commonalities. And I think there's no silver bullet, right? Like not one app is going to work for everyone. Not one piece of technology is going to work. So it is a little bit of trial and error with each dyslexic student. Just because it worked for one doesn't mean it will work for the other. But I think what we do know is that the science-based reading programs are that can hit the masses. I'm not saying perfectly, but that can hit the masses. And if we can start there, then we can build out and allow each student to explore it in whatever space that best suits them.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah, I like that a lot. It's crazy. I think I just have a couple more questions. How did getting in the community of dyslexia and International Dyslexia Association change your view on dyslexia?
Well, I think it made me realize how big of an issue this is. Mm-hmm. You know, before you feel like you're the only one who's dealing with it, and then you realize all these other stories out there. So I think it just broadened the awareness even more. And the other thing is, like, when we look at our Oregon branch, like, how about all the parents, or how about all the people on the board that are just simply volunteering their time? Mm-hmm. You know, like how passionate these people are about trying to make the world a better place. And I just think that's really special.
It's pretty cool. And it's pretty amazing what this branch has done for me. And I know a lot of others. It's pretty cool. So we're going to kind of move to advocacy. Yeah. Because that's a big one about being dyslexic. You need to learn how to advocate for yourself. Why advocacy is so important? Like, why do you think it's important for us to do it?
Yeah, I think it's important for everyone. I think it especially hits our community, and when I say that, people that are dyslexic or dealing with learning challenges, in that they can learn to compete and thrive in their environment if they have the right tools. And knowing how to ask for those tools, whether it be an extra time, whether it be, hey, I need to use this app on my phone because it allows me to check my grammar. All those things are really important pieces to being able to operate their world. And so that's where I think advocacy comes into place. And I think as a dyslexic person, it's that double-edged sword, right? Like the hard part is you got to learn to do it younger. And it's hard because you're going to the authorities and you're asking for things and it feels out of place. The flip is that as you become more of an adult, you've already had that tool, you have that tool in your toolkit. And so you're capable of doing it now. And so I think that's where what the work that Shelby and all the people are doing with the student panel, why that's so imperative, because it teaches our students how to do that. And then from the advocacy part on my side of things is, as being a voice, is I feel responsible for this community and trying to improve it and trying to make things easier for the people that are coming up through the ranks right now.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's definitely, I remember being younger. And so when I was 10, I was diagnosed with auditory processing disorder. So I had a disorder and then I got dyslexia 4 years later. I remember being terrified of going to teachers. It's intimidating the first couple times you do, first long time you do. It's scary. You don't want to be, when I was younger, I didn't want to be the trouble. And so going up to teachers and asking for this meant like I was asking for them to do extra work. And teachers already give so much, and I think we've learned obviously this year, and you don't want to be that person who asks for this something extra, and it's scary. So totally. But then, one day it's going to come and you're going to be an adult and you need to, learn how to advocate for whatever it may be. So.
It's that opportunity to practice for sure.
Yeah, it's intimidating, but it's good. It gets you up there. So I think that's all the questions I have for you. So
cool.
Thank you.
Well, yeah. So what do you think? You're going to start interviewing people from now on?
I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm trying to have people interview me for jobs. So.
Yeah, well, we wishing you the best on your college applications. And I would just want to say, as we kind of close out 2020, so grateful for the people on this board and all the work the student panel is doing. It's just such an awesome community to be a part of. And the work with Jessie, who's on the line, by the way, she said you did a great job. Just really excited. And thank you for taking the time tonight.
Yeah, thank you. It was a lot of fun. It was good to interview you.
All right. Well, take care. Have a great rest of your evening.
Thanks. You too. Good night.